Welcome to The Savage Truth with Cicely Davis. I am your host, Cicely Davis.
Oh, it is so good. So good to be back with you, Savages. Welcome back. I missed you. To both you and to me. I missed you. It's been 2 weeks, as you know, since our last episode in Connecting. Hope you had a great 2 weeks. To those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Bring someone along with you. Tell somebody else. I will be shooting again soon. Come on back, sit down, relax, listen to the show, and bring somebody else with you. For those of you who are returning, those ride or dies that I like to refer to, again, as always, I thank you. I appreciate you. Wouldn't be able to do this without you. And I do so appreciate whether you're new or returning for taking the time to join me. Can you do me a great favor? Please, please, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I would really, truly appreciate that. Now, let's get into this week's Haps. So much has gone on. So much has gone on in the last 2 weeks since we've connected. As you know, the last time we left off, Donald Trump had a debate with Kamala Harris in which he did win. Okay, he won. How do I know? How do I measure that? How many people, how many Republicans changed their vote? 0. How many undecideds have decided that they are now throwing out both parties? No one. All of the voting stats still say that Donald Trump is in the win. Okay, people still think that Kamala Harris serves up word salads. Okay, nothing changed, right? The only thing it probably did was, give Kamala a little more boost to actually try to sit down and have somewhat of an interview, which we're going to talk about later in the show today. Not going to rehash it because we're long past it. But the debate did nothing for Kamala Harris, and we totally expected the media to hype her up. Okay, they were expecting her to chop Donald Trump up, but their expectations for her was to actually just simply get through it, right? To not do what Joe Biden did. And she did do that. She was able to stay awake, okay? She was able to completely pronounce her words and remember where she was from start to finish, okay? She knew her name, right? She was totally cognitive. Even though she's not competent in her job or what she does, she was able to actually get through the interview. And for that was a resounding success, according to the Democratic Party. And so, of course, they raised her. Now, Donald Trump, of course, like I said, you know what I said? I wasn't going to rehash this, but we do have to admit, okay, that Donald Trump debated 3 people that night. 3 people. And that just, you know what? That just raises him to another level for me. I mean, this man is a beast, right? This is my president. This is number 47. But we need to talk about this, okay? That there was unfortunately, a second attempt at assassination on Donald Trump's life. Our Secret Service, by way of leadership, is incompetent and incapable of keeping him safe. Now, we need to accept that. And that is a profound statement, but it's savagely truthful at this moment. Donald Trump has expressed, understandably so, that he is afraid and in fear for his family's life. And you can completely understand that. There's a lot of theories going on about if there is, a mole within the Secret Service. We know that there are a lot of Secret Service within the organization right now, those who have feet and boots on the ground, who are not happy with the leadership of the Secret Service right now. You have a guy who, according to multiple reports, had been recruiting people, the alleged assassin, for recruiting people here and across the seas for foreign conflicts. And we sat and we watched a cringeworthy press conference by the director of the Secret Service, who cannot to this day admit that although we all clearly know it, we all clearly see it, that under his leadership, the Secret Service cannot do their jobs. They're completely incompetent. They are completely incompetent and incapable of keeping Donald Trump safe. He takes a victory lap, ladies and gentlemen, literally gives out promotions after the second attempt at Donald Trump's life, while a guy sits at a well-known spot to get a view of Donald Trump, camps out for over 12 hours, has lethal guns and a camera, outwits the current Secret Service detail, and this guy goes on for the press conference and says, The swift action of taking him away from the fence once he was discovered was a brave and heroic move that saved Donald Trump's life. And that was the ultimate success of the Secret Service. How stupid is this? This is where we are. Every day I'm losing brain cells with the Democrats in control. And the stupid, incompetent media doesn't ask the pertinent questions. Acting Director Rowe, you said that this was an off-the-record movement, okay? Is it your position, or are you saying that the Secret Service didn't have time to scan the perimeter before the former president appeared on the golf course? Especially and specifically, a well-known and widely used spot that many know had been used to get shots of Donald Trump, right? This is a spot that many had used to get shots of Donald Trump. Everybody knows about this little gap in the gate. Are you saying that this guy was able to outwit the Secret Service? And if so, are you saying that that's a success? Why is no one asking these questions? Because you see, it's interesting that you and the Secret Service didn't seem to know that the former president was going to be there, but the suspected killer did. No one's asking that. No one has asked that. I need the media to actually show up and do their jobs. How is it that an alleged potential assassin beat you all on the intel front? I need someone to ask that question. Did you all just not ask the former president his plans for the day? Or when you did know about his plans, why did you not take a little time to secure the perimeter? Because of pure incompetence is the answer. The director said the layered approach, okay? This is what this guy said. He said the layered approach was a success. The layered approach worked. In what way? In what way? And what is that exactly? I assume the layered approach means a suggested range of penetration to the protectee, right? Meaning 1,000 yards or the outer ring, and the sniper range, maybe mid-ring, around about 300 yards to the president. The layered approach, ladies and gentlemen, failed. So apparently it was a success, as the Secret Service depended upon the one agent who happened to spot the guy who was stupidly wearing a pink shirt, okay? Note to any terrorists going forward, not that I'm trying to help you, but if you're actually out there trying to set up a sniper, you might not want to wear a neon color while you're sitting in the midst of trees and amongst nature. They said that this was a success. This is the best that we can hope for from our Secret Service right now, currently, to keep all of our protectees safe, keeping Donald Trump the most threatened individual in the country. Folks, literally, every single thing the Democrats touch is a disaster. Everything. But. The mayor of the Muslim majority Michigan City has endorsed Donald Trump. This is so great. I love this irony as we shift, saying that Donald Trump is the right choice for this critical time. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Mayor Galib met with former President Trump in Flint, Michigan earlier last week for a private 20-minute conversation. So here are the details, folks, because you know I got to give it to you. So this Amir Galib, mayor of the Detroit area suburb, it's called Hamtramck, announced his endorsement of Trump in a Facebook post this Sunday. While admitting that he and Trump didn't actually agree on everything, he said he regarded the former commander-in-chief as a man of principles. Here's what he wrote in his post, and I quote, "Though it's looking good, he may not win the election. He may or may not win the election and be the 47th president of the United States, but I believe he is the right choice for this critical time. I'll not regret my decision no matter what the outcome would be, and I'm ready to face the consequences. For this and for many other reasons, I announce my support and endorsement for the former and hopefully the next president of the United States, Donald Trump." Now, folks, allow me to remind you that Flint, Michigan is not only the Muslim majority city in Michigan, it's also the city that was famed for having the water crisis, okay? Think back to the water crisis, okay? In the mid-2000s, when Obama went and faked the sip of the water? Do you remember that when he came? Okay, let me slow down. Let me slow down here, because maybe people don't know this or they have forgotten. And this presents an opportunity to offer some insight and some information. So Flint, Michigan suffered a water crisis that lasted from April 2014 to June 2016. The crisis began when the city switched its water source from Lake Huron to the Flint River. They went from water from Lake Huron to the Flint River on April 25th of 2014 without treating the Flint River water properly. The switch, caused the city's water distribution pipes to corrode, releasing lead and other contaminants into the drinking water. Now, the crisis exposed over 99,000 Flint residents to dangerous levels of lead between April 2014 and October of 2015, mostly children of color. Because as always, see, whenever this happens, it's always in neighborhoods that are not privileged. It's always in neighborhoods of people who are not able to fight back or who don't have the most resources, right? Same thing with the immigrants. They bring them in. When they flew them to the Hampton, they got them out within less than 24 hours. Okay, same thing here. Children were especially at risk from lead poisoning, which can cause long-term health issues such as lower IQs, mental health problems, and other increased chances of Alzheimer's disease. This crisis also led to outbreaks of Legionnaire disease that killed at least 12 people and made many others sick. Okay, so this is a really, really serious thing, okay? Think back to this. I mean, this was just all over the headlines. You heard about it constantly. Barack Obama took his flimsy, fake, to Flint, Michigan, got on stage at kind of a town hall to address the people of Flint in relation to this water crisis, right? He was there to address it. He was going to go there to talk to the people, kind of put them at ease and talk about this contamination. And he decided to ask for a glass of water. Google this, YouTube this right now. Oh, Barack Obama goes to Flint and asks for a drink of water, okay? Do that. Recall it, okay? That was the first time I heard Black people actually say, in regards to Barack Obama, that's not my president. This is the very first time I heard Black people actually snap into some sense. Unbelievable. So he goes there, he's talking to the people, and right when he's doing it, he stops and asks for a drink of water, okay? He asks for some Flint water. Someone brings him out this short little glass, and he pretends in front of everyone, and he says, "Oh, I'm not faking this. I really am thirsty," right? And he takes this fake sip of water. Please take the time to YouTube this, folks. If you haven't seen this or you haven't heard about it, it's one of the most embarrassing moments. It's just so very cringeworthy, but this is what these people do. So that's Flint, Michigan, okay? So in case you need some kind of reference or why this area is so important and as to why this mayor in this particular city at this particular time is so very important that he's coming out and endorsing Donald Trump. It's because of that incident in particular, and in particular that area, okay? So again, I say that there are very specific moves that are being made, and these endorsements coming by way of Democrats towards Donald Trump is really significant. It's telling you the shift and the tide of Americans right now. So please, like I said, go to YouTube and look up that moment. It will show you the true side and the true colors of this flimsy past president called Barack Obama. But I need to move on. Kamala Harris, I don't know if you've seen it, heard about it. I'm sure if you've heard of clips or seen some of the clips, she has a sit down, okay? She goes in and has a sit-down interview with the Black journalist and with Oprah Winfrey. She is awarded some softball questions, of course, like, why does the right side have a problem with your laughter and your joy? Now, if you recall, folks, when Donald Trump went to sit down, they were late, right? They stalled him. He was late. Kamala Harris was actually supposed to show up and she pulled a no-show. But for her, they give her softball questions. Why do they have a problem with your joy? Now, she gives a long, cringy closing statement, a nothing word salad as always, leaving the audience silent, almost awkward, right? Followed by an obligatory studio forced applause, and goes on about a story of this 28-year-old woman who died of sepsis, but of course blames the pro-life movement and Donald Trump for her death. Okay. Now, when Donald Trump was a guest, they were late, they were rude, and they were hostile towards him. Not at all surprising, by the way, because we covered this on the show. But the contrast needs to be pointed out because the level of stupidity of those journalists who were in favor of this Harris administration and all those in the electorate, including my neighbors. I got a lot of neighbors, unfortunately, in this neighborhood, this American neighborhood, who are floating the Kamala Harris and Walz flag saying, we won't go back. They have to ignore the obvious, right? They have to ignore the fact that Kamala is incompetent, right? Kamala Harris is a lying, incompetent fraud, a fake, a no-talent, non-charismatic imposter who is running a scripted teleprompter campaign as a communist, Marxist, tyrannical nutcase who will and wants to take your guns. How do I know? Because she blatantly said it. She wants to install price controls. Again, she blatantly said it. She's proud of Bidenomics. She's proud of the fact that it costs you more to buy gas and groceries and to pay your bills, that credit cards are out of control. She's proud of that. She's proud of the interest rates. She's proud of the inflation. She's proud of the unemployment. How do I know? Because she said it. She believes in open borders, again, because she said it. She was appointed as the border czar, even though they want to erase it in memory hole, that fact. She wants to end fracking. Again, she blatantly said so. She believes in bailing out criminals. She did so and started that right here in Minnesota. She believes in tipped workers, that they should pay taxes on those tips. After all, she was the deciding voter on that very bill. She believes in reparations. How do I know? Because she said so. Because she said so. In fact, everything and anything you need to know about Kamala Harris and her stance on any issue that Americans most care about and are concerned about, go back 3, 4, 5 years ago, because that was the last time she gave any definitive statements. And it was probably the very last time she actually answered a question. Kamala Harris is trying to get into the presidency by way of performance. It's an act on a proverbial political stage. Problem is, her team isn't the A team, it's the D team. So I watched the interview she had with Oprah Winfrey and the Black journalist. Now, this was a striking example of a performative farce. Instead of addressing the pressing issues facing our country, rising inflation and border security and crime rates, Harris served up a series of vague, platitudinous word salads, dancing around the topics without ever providing real substance or solutions. And this is the problem with her campaign right now. This is the problem with her as a candidate. Now, keep in mind that this was an incredibly biased audience. In fact, they were overwhelmingly sympathetic and biased, creating a perfect space and opportunity for Harris to evade difficult questions. Oprah, of course, played the role of a friendly facilitator rather than a challenging interviewer, right? Instead of pressing for clarity and accountability, after all, this is their opportunity to maybe get her to answer some questions. The discussion felt more like a mutual admiration society than a serious examination of policy and performance, to which, of course, has been poor, to say the least. The avoidance of tough questions was particularly concerning to me. It was also annoying and infuriating. For instance, when she was asked about the economic struggles facing Americans today, Harris deflected to talking points about social justice and equity, completely neglecting the pain felt by families trying to make ends meet. Her lack of engagement with real issues is not just a failure of leadership, it's an insult to the intelligence of the American public. Now, Kamala especially evades the question, are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? Because she knows that we are not. She doesn't want to stoke the reality fire that it's actually because of her and her administration that Americans struggle today. I'm so looking forward to the debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. We need to hear the next actor, the next clown on the stage put forth his performance, denying the real fate of Americans as credit card debt is at an all-time high and people struggle to pay rent and gas and groceries, the light bill. J.D. Vance will speak to the American people to show that he and Donald Trump care for this country and will put the pieces back together to have a strong economy, a strong worldly presence, law and order, and a strong backbone, right? Here's the savage truth, folks. The Kamala Walz ticket is a joke. That interview was not an opportunity for meaningful dialogue. It was a carefully curated event designed to bolster Harris's image while glossing over her administration's shortcomings. The American people deserve better than this charade. In the end, it's clear that the Harris-Winfrey interview was less about substance and more about maintaining a narrative that shields this administration from scrutiny. We must demand more from our leaders. We need transparency and accountability, and above all, a willingness to control and confront the issues that truly matter. Kamala Harris has mastered the art of flip-flopping so expertly that it's almost impressive. Almost. 1 minute, she's all about criminal justice reform, promising to hold law enforcement accountable. The next, she's cozying up to the very same police union she once criticized, as if she's auditioning for a role in political drama. It's like watching someone try to juggle flaming swords, except instead of swords, it's her principles. And instead of juggling, it's just a chaotic mess that leaves everyone wondering what she really stands for, which of course is nothing but remaining in power. Then there's her stance on immigration. I mean, she took Donald Trump's perspective, right? She took his stance. One day she's advocating for open borders and progressive policies, and the next she's sounding more like a MAGA supporter, more like a border patrol agent than a vice president, more than the voters are. It's almost as if she's trying to please every single faction of her party while simultaneously alienating everyone else. This kind of inconsistency isn't just politically convenient, it's a blatant disregard for the people she's supposed to represent. How can anyone take her seriously when she changes her tune faster than a radio station in a bad signal area? And let's not forget about her promise on climate change and the economy. She swings from bold, progressive plans to vague statements that sound like they were written in a hurry between campaign stops. Kamala Harris and the Democrat elite clearly think voters are too naive to notice that her policies shift based on what's trending on social media. If Kamala Harris ever decides to take a stand on any issue, it'll probably be a surprise to everyone, including herself. In the meantime, we're left with a politician who stands for nothing but her own ambition, and that's truly the most predictable thing about her. Look, folks, by the time you hear this, we will be 42 days away from Election Day. I think you know the answer, and quite frankly, so do those who have claimed themselves to be undecided at this point. After watching the likes of Walz and Kamala Harris, the answer is obvious. And if you are truly undecided at this point, just ask yourself that famous question that she so hates to answer. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Here's the savage truth. We can't afford it. We can't afford them. We can't afford another 4 years. We cannot afford to let Kamala Harris and Tim Walz take the reins of our great nation. Their policies are disastrous. They're a disastrous recipe for failure. Under their leadership, we would see higher taxes, more government overreach, and a complete disregard for the values that make America strong. Harris has consistently pushed for radical leftist agendas that threaten our freedoms and promote divisive identity politics. Walz's record in Minnesota, right here in Minnesota, shows us exactly what happens when liberals have unchecked power. Skyrocketing crime rates, failing schools, and a growing reliance on government handouts instead of empowering individuals. But here's the savage truth for this episode today. We do have a contrast. And in contrast, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance represent a return to common sense conservatism that prioritizes American families and businesses. Trump knows how to unleash our economic potential and protect our borders, while Vance has shown a commitment to fighting for the working class. We need leaders who will stand up to the radical left and fight for our constitutional rights, not those who will bow down to the whims of the progressive elites. It's truly time to rally together and ensure that our voices are heard at the ballot box. Savage truth is, our future depends on it. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And remember, as always, be bold, be strong, be faithful, be true. Till next time, I'm Cicely.
The Savage Truth with Cicely Davis is a production of Front Page Magazine and the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Reproduction of this podcast without express written consent is prohibited.